The rain hammered the windshield like it had a personal grudge, turning the Seattle streets into a blurred watercolor of neon and regret. I slammed the car door behind me, my duffel bag slipping from my soaked fingers onto the puddle at my feet, as if even my luggage knew this was a bad idea. "Alex, you can't keep running," Billy's voice echoed in my head from that last call. The one where he admitted he'd been seeing someone else for months, his words slicing deeper than the storm outside. I pounded on the door of Tommy's brownstone in Capitol Hill, the kind of place that screamed old money and quiet desperation, water streaming down my face like tears I refused to shed. Tommy yanked it open, his grin faltering as he took in my drowned rat appearance. "Dude, you look like you just auditioned for a grunge band. Get in here before you flood the porch." Inside, the house smelled of fresh coffee and pine cleaner, a far cry from the sterile emptiness of my apartment back in Portland. Tommy's family home was one of those Victorian relics. High ceilings, creaky floors, walls lined with photos of ski trips and graduations that made my own fractured history feel even smaller. Tommy, my college roommate from UW, clapped me on the back, steering me toward the kitchen. "Mom and Dad are in Aspen for the week. It's just me, you, and Marcus." A deeper voice cut in from the hallway, smooth as aged whiskey. I looked up, and there he was, Tommy's older brother, leaning against the doorframe like he'd stepped out of a cologne ad. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that effortless stubble and eyes the color of Lake Washington on a clear day, blue-gray and piercing. He was in a worn flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms dusted with ink from some tattoo I'd later learn was a compass rose, pointing nowhere and everywhere. "Heard you were crashing. Need a towel?" I nodded, words caught somewhere between gratitude and the knot in my chest. Marcus tossed me a fluffy gray one, his gaze lingering just a second too long, like he could see the storm wasn't just outside. Tommy rambled on about takeout plans, but I barely heard him. That look, it was the first crack in the wall I'd built around the ache Billy left behind. We settled into the living room that night, the three of us sprawled on mismatched couches under the glow of a single lamp. Tommy fired up the Xbox, oblivious to the undercurrent humming between me and his brother. Marcus sat across from me, nursing a beer, his knee brushing mine accidentally, or was it? As he reached for the controller. "So, Alex," he said, voice low enough that Tommy didn't catch it over the gunfire on screen. "What's got you fleeing Portland in a monsoon? Work? Girl troubles?" I forced a laugh, the kind that tasted like ash. "Something like that. Girl troubles." As if Billy had been my everything. 3 years of stolen kisses in dive bars, late-night drives along the coast, promises whispered in the dark that he'd never leave. Until he did, trading our life for some tech bro in a loft downtown, the betrayal hitting like a freight train. I'd buried it deep, told myself I was fine, but fine people didn't show up on friends' doorsteps at midnight, begging for a couch. Marcus didn't push, but his eyes said he knew bullshit when he heard it. He was 32 to my 26, a high school history teacher who'd traded Wall Street dreams for chalk dust and lesson plans. Tommy idolized him, the golden older brother who'd pulled him through their parents' divorce when they were kids. Me? I envied the ease in his posture, the way he filled a room without trying. By morning, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and Tommy dragged me out for coffee at a spot on Broadway. All exposed brick and overpriced lattes. "You gotta snap out of it, man," he said, stirring his black drip like it held answers. "Billy's an asshole. Plenty of fish in the sea, or whatever the gay equivalent is." I stared into my foam heart, wondering if it was mocking me. "Yeah, sea's just feeling a bit polluted lately." Tommy laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. He was straight as an arrow, the kind of ally who showed up but never quite got the weight of it. The isolation, the fear of being seen and discarded. Back at the house, Marcus was in the kitchen, flipping pancakes like it was no big deal. The sizzle filled the air, mixing with the scent of maple syrup and something earthier, like his cologne, sandalwood and rain. "Fuel up," he said, sliding a plate my way. "Tommy's got that pickup game at the park later. You in?" I wasn't much for basketball, but the alternative was holing up in the guest room, scrolling through Billy's Instagram like a masochist. So I went. The park was alive with weekend warriors, dog walkers, joggers, a group of queer kids tossing a frisbee under the evergreens. Tommy dominated the court, all showy dunks and trash talk, but Marcus played steady, his passes precise, body moving with a grace that made my pulse stutter. One play I guarded him, bad idea. He spun past me effortlessly, our hips colliding for a split second, heat blooming through my jeans. He sank the shot and turned, smirking. Not bad for a rookie. Keep up. I wiped sweat from my brow, heart hammering not from the run. You're distracting. His laugh was low, genuine. That's the point. That night, Tommy crashed early, nursing a twisted ankle from the game. I wandered downstairs for water, the house settling around me like a held breath. The back porch light was on, and there was Marcus, feet up on the railing, staring at the city lights twinkling through the mist. He patted the Adirondack chair beside him. Can't sleep. Nope. I sat, the wood cool against my skin. The air was crisp, carrying hints of salt from the sound. We talked easy stuff at first. His job, the kids he taught who reminded him why he stayed. My graphic design gigs, the freelance grind that kept me one missed deadline from broke. Then, quieter, Tommy mentioned Portland. Said you got burned bad. I tensed, fingers tightening on my glass. Tommy talks too much. Not about this. Just enough to know it's fresh. Marcus shifted, his shoulder brushing mine. I've been there. Guy named Ryan back in college. Thought he was the one. Woke up one morning to him gone. Note on the pillow saying he couldn't do this anymore. Like being queer was a phase he outgrew. The words hung there, raw and real. I hadn't expected that, from him of all people. The straight-laced brother, the family anchor. How'd you get past it? He shrugged, but his jaw tightened. Time, and a hell of a lot of running, literally. Marathons, therapy, the works. But mostly, forgiving myself for believing the lie. I swallowed hard, the hurt I'd stuffed down bubbling up. Billy hadn't just left. He'd rewritten our story in my head. Made me question every touch, every, I love you. I keep replaying it, the signs I missed, wondering if I was ever enough. Marcus turned, his face inches from mine in the dim light. Hey, you were enough. He was the one who couldn't handle it. His hand found my knee, a steady pressure that grounded me. Not sexual, just human. Needed. We stayed like that until the chill drove us in, the silence between us charged but comfortable. Upstairs, I lay awake, the guest room's slanted ceiling mocking my racing thoughts. Marcus's door was across the hall, a sliver of light under it. I wondered what ghosts he chased in the dark. The next day blurred into a rhythm. Mornings with coffee and newspapers on the sun porch, afternoons exploring the market, fresh salmon. Tulips in defiant bloom despite the gray skies. Tommy played third wheel, oblivious, cracking jokes about setting me up with his barista crush's cousin. But evenings were ours, Marcus and me, poring over vinyl records in the den, his fingers brushing mine as he handed over a Coltrane album. This one's for rainy days, he'd say, and I'd nod, pretending my shiver wasn't from proximity. One night, after Tommy bailed for a date, we cooked real food, not takeout. Marcus at the stove, chopping garlic with practiced ease, me fumbling the pasta. Wine flowed, red and bold, loosening tongues. Tell me about Billy, he said finally, plating spaghetti carbonara like it was therapy. I hesitated, fork midway to mouth. But his eyes, steady, non-judgmental, pulled it out. The meeting at a queer-lit reading in Powell's, the way Billy's laugh lit up rainy afternoons. Our apartment in the Pearl District, posters of Audre Lorde and James Baldwin on the walls. Dreams of adopting a dog someday. Then the cracks, his late nights at work. The cologne that wasn't his. The call, 3 days ago, where he said, I love you, but I'm confused. It's a guy from the office. We can still be friends. Friends. The word still burned. I set my fork down, voice cracking. He made me feel like loving him was the mistake. Like I should have known better. Marcus reached across the table, thumb brushing my knuckles. Love isn't a mistake, Alex. It's the risk we take to feel alive. His voice was soft, laced with his own scars. Ryan had left him questioning his worth, too, enough that Marcus had sworn off dating, pouring everything into his students, his family. We cleared plates in silence, the air thick with unspoken what-ifs. At the sink, washing up side by side, our elbows touched. I turned, and he was there, closer than breath. His hand cupped my jaw, tentative, searching. Is this okay? More than okay. I nodded, and his lips met mine, gentle, exploratory, tasting of Chianti and possibility. It wasn't fireworks. It was a slow burn, the kind that warms from the inside out. We broke apart, foreheads resting together, breaths mingling. Stay, he whispered. Not just for the night, for longer, maybe forever. But doubt crept in like fog off the water. Billy's ghost lingered, whispering I wasn't built for second chances. The week stretched, lazy and laced with tension. Tommy noticed the shift, ribbing us over breakfast. You two are weirdly in sync, like an old married couple. Marcus shot him a look, but I laughed it off, heat rising in my cheeks. We explored Seattle like tourists in our own lives. Pike Place for fish-tossing chaos, the Space Needle at twilight, its lights piercing the clouds. Marcus held my hand in the elevator, thumb tracing circles on my palm, and for the first time in months, I felt seen. Not as broken goods, but as whole. One afternoon, as we wandered Gasworks Park, the old gasification plant's skeletal towers looming like forgotten dreams, my phone buzzed. Billy, miss you. Can we talk? I'm sorry. The words hit like a gut punch. I stared at the screen, world tilting. Marcus, sensing it, squeezed my shoulder. X. Yeah. I showed him the text, voice small. What do I do? He exhaled, jaw set. Whatever feels right. But don't let him drag you back into the dark. I deleted it, but the seed was planted, doubt, that old friend. That evening, over burgers at a dive on Pike, Marcus opened up more. Ryan hadn't just left. He'd outed Marcus to their mutual friends, spinning tales of confusion to save face. The betrayal had isolated him, made family gatherings awkward until Tommy punched a guy at a party for slinging slurs. Family's everything, Marcus said, eyes distant. They pull you through. I nodded, thinking of my own fractured ties. Parents in Ohio who loved me but prayed for clarity. Siblings too busy with straight-laced lives to check in. Billy had been my chosen family, and losing that stung worst. As days blurred, our kisses deepened, hands exploring with a reverence that healed more than it heated. We'd curl on the couch, his head on my lap as I read aloud from his dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room. Voices weaving through Baldwin's prose like a shared secret. This part, he'd murmur, fingers lacing with mine. About hiding your heart. It's us, before we met. But Billy's texts persisted, a drip-drip erosion. I was wrong. Come home. I ignored them, but each ping chipped at the fragile peace. The climax came on a Thursday, rain lashing the windows like judgment. Tommy was out, leaving the house to us. We'd planned a quiet night. Fireplace, wine, maybe finally crossing that line into more. But my phone lit up with a call, Billy's name flashing like a siren. I answered against every instinct. What? Alex, please. I'm outside. I drove up. I need to see you. Heart in throat. I glanced at Marcus in the kitchen, oblivious as he uncorked the bottle. No, we're done. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. He means nothing. Billy's voice broke, and damn if it didn't tug at the scar tissue. The doorbell rang. Marcus froze, eyes narrowing. Friend of yours. I opened it, and there was Billy, drenched, eyes red-rimmed, the man who'd shattered me standing on the porch like a bad sequel. Alex. Marcus appeared behind me, arms crossed. Recognition dawned. This the ex. Billy's gaze flicked between us, sharpening. Who's he? None of your business. But Marcus stepped forward, protective. You need to go. Billy laughed, bitter. Oh, I get it. Rebound. Classic Alex. jumping into the next warm body because you can't be alone. The words landed like shrapnel. Marcus stiffened, but I felt it deepest, the echo of my fears. "Get out," I whispered. He didn't. Instead, he grabbed my arm, pulling me onto the porch. "We had something real. It's pity." Marcus yanked him back. "Touch him again," and Billy swung. It was sloppy, fueled by desperation, but it connected. A glancing blow to Marcus's cheek. Chaos erupted, shouts, rain, me shoving between them. Billy stumbled back, shock replacing rage. "You're not worth it," he spat, then fled to his car, tires screeching into the night. Inside, Marcus pressed a frozen pea bag to his face, downplaying it. "I'm fine. You okay?" "No." The fight replayed, Billy's accusations mirroring my insecurities. "He called you a rebound. What if he's right? What if I'm just broken cargo you're fixing out of kindness?" Marcus dropped the bag, cupping my face. "Is that what you think this is? Pity?" Hurt flashed in his eyes. Raw. "Alex, I've been falling for you since that first towel. The way you laugh at Tommy's dumb jokes, how you light up talking design. It's not pity. It's real." Tears mixed with rain on my cheeks. But Billy, he knew me inside out. And he still. People leave for their reasons, not yours. Marcus pulled me close, heartbeat steady against mine. "You deserve someone who stays. Let me be that." We talked till dawn, unraveling threads. My fear of abandonment rooted in Dad's long hours, Mom's quiet disappointments. His and Ryan's ghost, the closet he'd half lived in. Betrayal wasn't just Billy's. It was the world's casual cruelties. The headlines screaming hate while we whispered love. By morning, clarity settled. I blocked Billy's number, deleted the photos. Marcus and I emerged tentative, but together, hands clasped over coffee, planning a road trip down the coast. No ghosts invited. Tommy returned to find us changed, the house warmer. "About time," he grinned, tossing Marcus a high five. "You two are disgustingly cute." Weeks turned to months. I extended my stay, then found a studio nearby, designing logos for local queer nonprofits. Marcus introduced me to his kids, 17 dreamers navigating their own identities. One boy, quiet and artistic, reminded me of myself at that age. Marcus's arm around my waist as we cheered at his art show felt like home. Billy faded to a footnote, a lesson in resilience. We visited Portland once, hand in hand through the markets, reclaiming the streets. No drama, just us building something solid. In the end, it wasn't a fairy tale. Love's messy, laced with doubts and rainy nights. But Marcus taught me to face the hurt, not hide it. And in the quiet moments, his head on my shoulder during a storm, our fingers intertwined, we found grace. Human, imperfect, but ours. The compass on his arm pointed true north now. To us, life in Seattle settled into a rhythm that felt less like survival and more like breathing. My duffel, once a symbol of flight, now lived unpacked in the corner of Marcus's apartment. A cozy walk-up in Fremont, trolls and indie bookstores just blocks away. We'd merged spaces gradually. My sketch pads amid his stacks of history tomes, his flannel draped over my chair. It was domestic without the domesticity. A dance of two men learning each other's steps. Mornings started with the sputter of his ancient espresso machine, Marcus in boxers and a faded mariner's tea, handing me a mug with a kiss that tasted like foam and future. "Rough night?" He'd ask if shadows lingered under my eyes, knowing the dreams still came. Billy's face morphing into strangers, accusations of unworthiness. I'd shrug, pulling him back to bed for 10 more minutes of tangled limbs and murmured nothings. Just old tapes playing. Therapy helped. Dr. Elena, a no-nonsense dyke with a corner office overlooking the sound, unpacking the betrayal layer by layer. "Grief isn't linear, Alex," she'd say, her pen tapping like a metronome. "It's a spiral. You circle back, but each time you climb higher." Marcus joined a session once at my urging. Sitting there, knees touching under the coffee table, he shared Ryan's aftermath. the depression that cost him a semester, the bar fights born of bottled rage. I built walls, he admitted, voice steady but eyes vulnerable. Alex is teaching me to tear them down. Dr. Elena nodded. That's love's work. Outside those walls, the world intruded gently. Tommy threw a welcome to the family barbecue in the backyard. String lights twinkling against the dusk. Neighbors mingled, queer couples with adopted kids, straight allies with craft IPAs, laughter cutting through the summer haze. Billy's absence loomed only in flashes. A song on the playlist, a cologne whiff on the breeze. But Marcus's hand in mine anchored me. One guest, a silver-haired professor named Walt, cornered me by the grill. Heard your story from Tommy. Chin up, kid. Us old queers have seen worse and come out shining. His wink was conspiratorial, a nod to the lineage of survivors. From Stonewall to Obergefell, the fights etched in our bones. As plates emptied and fireflies danced, Marcus pulled me aside, under the willow tree. Proud of you, he whispered, lips brushing my temple. Facing it all. The words warmed deeper than the coals. For the first time, I believed them. Fall brought changes. Leaves turning crimson along the Burke-Gilman Trail, where we'd bike on weekends, wind whipping stories from us. Marcus's school year ramped up, midterms, parent conferences, and I'd surprise him with lunches at his desk, turkey clubs wrapped in wax paper like love notes. My night in shining takeout, he'd tease, kissing me amid stacks of essays. My work flourished too. A commission for Seattle Pride, murals of intertwined hands against the rainbow, symbols of unity amid division. The betrayal with Billy had fueled it, transforming pain into pigment. At the unveiling, Marcus stood beside me, arm around my waist as cameras flashed. This is you, he said later, tracing the lines on my sketch. Resilient. But resilience isn't armor. It's flexible, bending under pressure. Pressure came in November, with a call from Portland. My sister, Jenna, married, 2 kids, the golden child, voice tight. Dad's sick. Cancer. Stage 3. He wants you here. The bottom dropped. Dad and I had mended fences post coming out. Awkward Thanksgivings. Golf outings where he asked halting questions about your lifestyle. But sick? It unearthed the old hurts. His silence during high school taunts. The unspoken wish I'd been normal. Marcus drove me down I-5 that weekend, hand on my thigh through the Cascades. We'll face it together, he promised, as if family tempests were just another storm. The hospital in Eugene smelled of antiseptic and regret. Dad lay pale in the bed, Mom hovering like a ghost. Jenna hugged me stiffly. He asked for you specifically. His eyes, watery blue, met mine. Alex, sorry I wasn't better. The words cracked something open. We talked, haltingly at first. About my art, Marcus, sounds like a good man. The years lost to discomfort. I was scared, Dad admitted, voice rasping. Scared I'd lose you like I lost myself in the mill. Tears came then, mutual. Marcus waited in the hall, giving space, but joined for the drive home, his presence a buffer against the grief. Back in Seattle, the holidays loomed. Tommy hosted again, the house decked in lights and garland. We strung popcorn on the tree, Marcus humming carols off-key, me laughing till my sides ached. This is what family looks like, he said, kissing pine needles from my hair. Christmas Eve, snow dusted the city. A rarity, blanketing the world in hush. We walked to midnight mass at St. Mark's, not for faith but for the choir's swell, the candles flickering like stars. Inside, Marcus's hand found mine, thumb stroking in silent vow. But joy's shadow is doubt. New Year's, a package arrived, Billy's handwriting on the label. Inside, our old photo album, edges frayed, notes scrawled in margins. Miss this, miss us. Forgive me? I stared, heart twisting. Marcus found me on the floor, album splayed. Burn it? He offered, no jealousy, just solidarity. No. I closed it, slid it into a drawer. Let it be a relic. We're writing a new story. He pulled me up, into the new year with a kiss that promised chapters untold. Spring unfurled green and hopeful. Dad started chemo, updates via video calls where he'd grin through nausea, asking about that brother of yours. Marcus charmed him, sharing Civil War anecdotes that sparked Dad's eyes. My mural caught a local award, ink in the stranger calls from galleries. "You're unstoppable," Marcus said at the ceremony. Suit rumpled from nerves, tie crooked. I fixed it, fingers lingering. "We are." Yet, under the bloom, conflict simmered. Marcus's ex, Ryan, resurfaced. Not dramatically, but via a school event. Ryan, now a counselor in Tacoma, volunteering for a queer youth workshop. "Heard you're with someone," he said post-session, handshake firm but eyes appraising. "Happy for you." The civility stung worse than hate. Marcus came home drained, collapsing on the couch. He asked about us, like he has a right. I massaged his shoulders, knots like buried mines. Does he? No. But the encounter unearthed insecurities. Ryan's leaving had left Marcus gun-shy, questioning his appeal. What if I'm the one who can't commit? What if I hurt you like he hurt me? The fear mirrored mine, an echo chamber. We argued that night, rare, heated words about pace, future, the terror of investment. "I need to know this isn't temporary," I snapped, voice breaking. He cupped my face, fierce. "It's not. You're my north, Alex. Always." We made up in the sheets, bodies speaking what words fumbled, slow, affirming, a reclamation. Dawn found us entwined, resolve renewed. Summer cycled back, hotter, bolder. We road-tripped the Olympic Peninsula, hikes through fern-choked trails, clams steamed over beach fires. One night, under a meteor shower, Marcus knelt in the sand, ring glinting. A simple band, tungsten etched with coordinates of our first kiss. "Marry me?" Not a question, a plea. Tears blurred the stars. Yes. The wedding was small backyard under that same willow. Tommy best man cracking jokes through vows. Dad, hat over chemo-bald head, teared up from his chair. "Proud," he mouthed. Billy sent a card, congratulations, no drama. We burned it together, ashes to the wind. Years later, with a rescue dog named Compass and talks of fostering, the hurt feels like a faint scar. Marcus still wakes some nights, ghosts whispering, but my hand in his silences them. We faced the hidden pain, not alone, but side by side. And in America's vast, flawed heart, where rain falls and rainbows arch, we found our place. Human, loved, enduring. The engagement ring caught the light as I stirred oatmeal one morning. A quiet Tuesday in our new routine. Marcus had started a side gig, consulting for a documentary on queer history in the Northwest, and his evenings stretched late, laptop glowing till midnight. "It's good," he'd say, rubbing his eyes. "Fills the tank." But I saw the fatigue, the way his laugh came slower. I understood. My own commissions piled up. A book cover for a coming-out memoir, deadlines chasing like hounds. We were building brick by brick, but the mortar of exhaustion cracked under weight. Dad's treatments dragged into fall. Each trip to Eugene a gauntlet of hospital fluorescence and Mom's forced smiles. "He's fighting," she'd say, squeezing my hand. Marcus came when he could, his stories of resilient figures, Bayard Rustin, Harvey Milk, bolstering Dad's spirits. "Those men changed worlds," Dad rasped once. "You too are changing mine." Gratitude swelled, but so did guilt. Jenna pulled me aside after one visit. "You're happy now, huh? With him." Her tone was neutral, but the undercurrent, envy, resentment, pricked. "Yeah, he saved me in a way." She nodded, eyes on the linoleum. "Good. Just don't forget us straights get lonely too." The comment lingered, a seed of division. Family, I learned, was a web, tugs in one strand rippled everywhere. Back home, Tommy announced his own news, moving to LA for a tech job. "Gonna miss you losers," he said over beers at the Troll, the bar's neon casting green on his grin. "But hey, ring shopping? Count me in for the stag do." We toasted, but his departure hollowed the trio. Marcus and I filled the gap with date nights, jazz at Demetrio's, where sax notes wove through smoke, ferry rides to Bainbridge, picnics on pebble beaches. One night, post-show, we walked arm in arm through Pioneer Square, fog rolling in like a curtain. "Remember our first rain?" Marcus asked, pulling me under an awning. "How could I forget? You looked at me like I was a puzzle you wanted to solve." "You were." He kissed me then, deep and unhurried, the city fading to backdrop. Passers-by smiled or averted eyes. America's progress, patchwork and proud. But progress has potholes. At Marcus's school, a new principal, conservative transplant from the Midwest, started sniffing around the GSA club. "Optics matter," he said in a staff meeting Marcus recounted over dinner, fork stabbing his salmon. "Can't have it looking like indoctrination." Marcus's jaw clenched. "It's support, not recruitment. These kids need safe space." The fight ignited something in him, a protectiveness that spilled into us. "I won't let them erase us," he vowed, pacing the living room. I held him, feeling the echo of my own battles, the client who balked at gay vibes in a logo, the family dinners where politics turned table. We volunteered together, manning a booth at Pride, rainbow flags snapping in wind, kids finger-painting ally signs. A teen, maybe 16, approached shyly. "I'm scared to tell my dad." His voice trembled. Marcus knelt. I level. "Fear's normal. But truth? It's your superpower." He handed over a zine I'd illustrated, stories of out and proud lives. Watching, my heart swelled. This man, teacher, partner, healer, had become my mirror, reflecting the best in me. Yet mirrors crack. The betrayal brewed subtly, in a letter from Ryan. Marcus found it in his mailbox at school, forwarded from an old address. "Congrats on the engagement," it read. "Heard through the grapevine. Deserve it. Sorry again for everything." He showed it to me that night, paper crinkling in his fist. "Why now? Closure, maybe?" But his eyes said doubt. Ryan's shadow had always loomed, the what-if of the one who got away. I pushed it down, focused on wedding plans. Venue: a vineyard in Woodinville, vines heavy with promise. Suits: slim fit, lavender ties for a pop of us. Vows: handwritten, raw. Dad insisted on walking me down the aisle. "If you'll have an old coot like me." Chemo had whittled him, but his grip was firm when we practiced in the hospital garden. Marcus beaming from the other end. Winter bit hard that year, snow shutting the city. We holed up, baking bread and binging It's a Sin. Laughs turning to tears at the AIDS crisis's echo in our fears. "We're luckier," Marcus murmured, holding me close, "but vigilant." The principal's pressure mounted. Budget cuts threatened the GSA. Parents grumbled at a gay agenda. Marcus rallied, petitions, school board speeches, his voice thunder in the auditorium. "These students aren't trends. They're lives." I designed flyers, attended meetings, our partnership a force. Victory came narrow, the club survived, but scars lingered. "It's exhausting," he confessed post-win, head in hands, fighting for scraps. I rubbed his back. "You're their hero. And you're mine." Spring wedding approached, invitations sealed with wax stamps, compasses, of course. Responses flooded. Friends from Portland, Marcus's colleagues, even a card from Walt the professor. To love that endures. But the universe, ever the dramatist, scripted a twist. 2 weeks out, Billy called, not texted, called. Tommy, in town for fittings, handed me the phone. "He sounds wrecked. Your call." Billy's voice was gravel. "Heard about the wedding. Congrats. But I need to see you. One last time. For closure." My stomach nodded. Closure? Or sabotage? "Why now?" "Because I'm dying inside without you. Please." Against Marcus's quiet plea, "You don't owe him," I agreed. Neutral ground. A coffee shop in Belltown, Harbor View mocking the turmoil. Billy arrived gaunt, eyes hollowed. "You look good. Happy." "I am." Defiance edged my words. He leaned in, desperate. "I screwed up. That guy? Mistake. I love you, Alex. Always will. Call it off. Come home. The plea twisted the knife, old love, poisoned. Home is Marcus. You taught me what loss feels like. He taught me gain. Billy's face crumpled. Then why does it hurt so much? Because love leaves marks. I stood, leaving him with his latte and regrets. Driving home, tears blurred the bridge. Marcus waited on the stoop, arms open. How'd it go? Final. I collapsed into him, spilling the details. He listened, no judgment, just presence. That took guts, he said, kissing my forehead. Proud. The wedding day dawned clear, sky a canvas of blue. Vows exchanged under arbor, words trembling. In hurt and healing, I choose you. Rings slid on, sealing promises. Reception buzzed. Dances to Chapel Roan. Toasts from Tommy. Don't fuck it up, bro. Dad pulled Marcus aside, clapping his shoulder. Take care of my boy. Always, sir. Honeymoon in the San Juans, cabins, kayaks, stars unpolluted. We talked futures. Kids, maybe through surrogacy. A house with a studio and library. Betrayal's specter? Banished, or so I thought. Until, months later, the real storm hit, not from Billy but within. Married life unfolded like a well-worn map. Familiar paths with new vistas. Our Fremont apartment traded for a craftsman in Wallingford. Backyard for compass to chase squirrels. Rooms for art and books to spill. Mornings, Marcus graded papers at the kitchen island. Glasses perched low, while I sketched beside him, coffee steaming between. Read this, he'd say, sliding an essay on the Harlem Renaissance. Kids got fire. I'd grin, marking edits. Like his teacher. Nights we cooked. Marcus's gumbo, my experimental salads, wine loosening tongues for dreams. Foster first, he proposed one evening, feet in my lap. Test the waters. I nodded, heart full. With you? Any water's fine. Dad's cancer retreated to remission, a miracle of meds and will. Visits became joyrides, barbecues where he grilled Marcus on Civil War trivia. Mom beaming at our ease. You're good for him, she told me privately, hugging tight. For all of us. Jenna softened too, her texts warming. Baby photos. Proud of you, bro. Family. Mended. Work thrived. My designs landed national gigs. Campaigns for the Trevor Project. Bold graphics screaming visibility. Marcus's documentary aired on PBS. Critics praising its tender ferocity. Premiere night, we dressed up. His hand in mine on the red carpet. Well, hotel lobby. Flashes capturing our grin. But beneath the glow, fissures formed. Marcus's principal. Ousted but bitter. Leaked emails. Twisted quotes painting him as activist over educator. Whispers at school. Pushing agenda. Parents pulled kids from his class. He downplayed it over dinner. Fork pushing peas. Storm in a teacup. I saw the toll, sleepless nights, jaw grinding. Fight back. I am. But his eyes said weariness. The betrayal crystallized in summer, heat wave sticky. A colleague, Sarah, sharp, single, head of English, invited him for drinks to vent. Harmless, he said. I trusted. He came home late, cologne faint but foreign, laugh too bright. Sarah's a riot. Knows every dive in the U district. Jealousy flickered, irrational. Good. You need allies. But days later, a text on his phone, screen lit while he showered. Sarah. Last night was fun. Repeat. XO. XO. The kiss mark landed like Billy's old texts. I confronted him post-shower, towel-clad, steam curling. What's with Sarah? He blinked, water dripping. Work friend. We grabbed beers. The XO? She's affectionate. Nothing more. Defensive edge. Doubt bloomed. Toxic. Like Ryan was confused? His face hardened. Low blow, Alex. Words escalated. Accusations of secrecy. My paranoia from Billy. Am I paranoid? Or are you hiding? I'm not. But guilt shadowed his denial. Turns out, drinks had veered flirty. Sarah's hand on his arm, laughs leaning close. Nothing physical but the spark, admitted in the fight's heat. I was lonely. The job's killing me. She listened. Betrayal, not affair, but emotional drift. The hurt sliced fresh, echoing old wounds. You listened to me once. Now this. He crumpled, apologetic. I screwed up. Won't happen again. But trust fractured. I slept on the couch, compass whining at the divide. Therapy resumed, joint sessions with Dr. Elena. Betrayal's compound, she noted, glasses reflecting our tension. Alex, your past amplifies this. Marcus, your stress seeks outlets. Rebuild intentionally. We did date nights enforced, phones open, vulnerability practiced. I felt invisible. He confessed one night, tears tracking. The job makes me question my worth. You're irreplaceable. I held him, mending threads. Climax crested in fall, leaves blood red. The principal's leak went viral. Local news twisting Marcus's activism into grooming scandal. Protests at school gates. Hate mail flooding his inbox. Pervert teacher. He resigned, gutted. Can't fight forever. I raged with him, calling lawyers, rallying supporters. Tommy flew up, fists clenched. Those bigots. But Marcus withdrew, depression's fog thick. Days blurred, bed, beer, silence. I tiptoed, cooking favorites, leaving notes. My hero. One night he vanished. Phone dead, car gone. Panic clawed, visions of bridges. The sound's dark pull. I drove trails called hospitals, heart hammering. Dawn broke with his return, eyes hollow, flannel mud-streaked. Drove to the coast. Needed air. Relief warred with fury. You scared me. I'm sorry. He broke then, sobbing. I can't do this. The hate, the failure. I'm letting you down. No. I pulled him close. We're in it. Together. The confrontation peaked in our kitchen, words raw as open veins. Leave if you must, I said, voice steel masking fear. But don't hide. Fight with me. He looked up, fire rekindling. For us. For us. We reported the harassment, media storm turning. Op-eds praising his courage, donors funding a new GSA. Resignation retracted. Principal fired. Through it, our bond tempered, stronger, scarred, beautiful. Winter wrapped the city in ice, mirroring the chill we'd thawed. Marcus returned to school a legend. Kids mobbing him with hugs, parents apologizing in parking lots. You showed them. A student scrawled on his board. Visibility is victory. He glowed, but humbly. Team effort. Nights, he'd recount triumphs. My head on his chest. Heartbeat my lullaby. My work pivoted too. Inspired. I launched a series, Echoes of Us, portraits of queer elders, stories inked beside faces lined with battles won. Galleries snapped them up, proceeds to advocacy. One subject, a trans veteran named Lee, gripped my hand post-sitting. Your eyes see souls, son, like his does for you. Marcus framed the first sale check, hung by our bed. Our legacy. Family wove tighter. Dad, cancer-free, visited for solstice. First time in Seattle, marveling at the market's bustle. Smells like opportunity, he chuckled, buying smoked salmon for Mom. Jenna brought the kids. Nephews tumbling with compass, her walls down. Marriage suits you, she admitted over eggnog. Sorry if I was distant. Forgiven. Hugs healed old rifts. Billy's echo? Faint as a dream. A mutual friend mentioned he'd moved to NYC, dating a barista, finding himself. No sting left, just pity and release. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry blossoms carpeting sidewalks. We fostered our first, teen named Kai, non-binary, fresh from juvie for a shoplift born of hunger. Trial basis, the agency said. Marcus and I exchanged looks, all in. Kai arrived wary, backpack clutched like armor. Don't gotta like me. Marcus knelt. Just gotta try. Like us. Weeks unfolded tentative. Grocery runs where Kai picked cereals shyly. Movie nights with popcorn wars. Nightmares woke them. Past foster fails, rejections bite. I'd find Kai on the porch, stars overhead, and sit silent till words came. Parents said I was a phase, like, returnable, your keeper material. Marcus added books, Aristotle and Dante, tales of found families. One evening, Kai burst in, beaming. Got into art school. Scholarship. We hooped, ordering pizza, toasting with root beer. Proud, Marcus said, eyes misty. Kai hugged him, first time, then me. You guys fixed something. You fixed us, I whispered. Summer hummed with possibility. Road trip to Yellowstone. Geysers erupting like joy, bison ambling indifferent. Tents pitched under Milky Way. Kai sketching by firelight, Marcus strumming guitar off-key folk tunes. This, he said, arm around me, is the dream. Back home, challenges nipped, Kai's bio mom resurfacing, custody drama. My exhibit deadline crunch. But we navigated, therapy a compass. Fall brought harvest, Kai's enrollment, Dad's clean scans. We hosted Thanksgiving, table groaning. Turkey, tofurkey, stories swapped. Tommy, visiting from LA, raised glass. To hurts faced, loves embraced. Echoes of betrayal, lessons now. Marcus and I volunteered at a retreat, queer survivors sharing scars. One man, voice cracking, spoke of his partner's infidelity. Broke me, but rebuilt better. Applause rippled. Marcus squeezed my hand. Later, driving home. That's us. Yes. Climax's shadow lifted, but life scripts sequels. In December, Marcus's docuseries won an Emmy nod, Glamour in LA, red carpet redux. We flew down, Kai minded by Tommy. Paparazzi swarmed, questions probing. Any scandals? Marcus, mic in hand, arm mine linked. Only the good kind, falling in love daily. Cheers erupted. Backstage, he pulled me into shadows. You, always. The ceremony, win, of course, capped with speeches honoring unsung heroes. To the hidden hurts, Marcus said, voice carrying. And the brothers who help us face them. Tears flowed, mine included. On stage, accepting, he dedicated, to Alex, my north, my home. The flight home, head on his shoulder. I whispered, humanistic ending? He smiled. Ours is just beginning. Years layered like Seattle's rains. Steady, nourishing, occasional downpours testing resolve. Kai thrived at school, majoring in graphic design. Your fault? They teased, hugging me. Fostering became adoption. Legal papers signed on a sunny courthouse day. Marcus and I beaming as witnesses. Family, Kai said. Ring on chain around neck, our initials engraved. Dad passed gently, spring of that year. Surrounded by us, hand in mine till last breath. Loved you fierce, he murmured. Grief bowed us, but rose us too. Memorial in the park, stories shared under cherry trees. Mom moved closer, to a senior community in Bellevue. Bridge games with her new book club, code for gossip. Jenna visited often, kids calling Marcus Uncle Mark. Sprawling on rugs with crayons. You made us better, she said once, eyes soft. Thank you. Work evolved. My Echoes series became a traveling exhibit. Cities from NYC to San Francisco hosting panels where survivors met. Marcus wrote a book, Memoir Meets History, Facing North, Queer Resilience in America. Bestseller, book tour with me tagging along, sketching crowds. Challenges came as they do. Kai's coming out to extended family sparked rifts. Cousins ghosting, aunts praying. We coached through it, pride flags on the porch defiant. Your truth, Marcus told them. Their loss. A health scare for me, benign polyp, but biopsy wait eternal, flipped roles. Marcus paced waiting rooms, holding my hand like lifeline. We're unbreakable, he vowed post-clear. Billy crossed paths once at a conference in Portland. Awkward nod in the lobby, older, lines etched deeper. Happy for you, he said, genuine. Really? Me too. No bridges burned, just crossed. Our 10th anniversary. Vow renewal on that vineyard, smaller circle. Tommy officiant, Kai ringbearer, Compass flower dog. Words updated. Through betrayals braved, doubts dissolved. I choose you still. Dance under stars, his breath warm on neck. Hurt hidden no more. Only love shown. Legacy grew, mentorship program at Marcus's school, my art funding scholarships. We traveled, Europe's canals, Asia's temples, collecting stories, tattoos, matching waves on wrists, ebbs and flows. Aging crept, gray in his stubble, laugh lines framing my eyes. But intimacy deepened, touches reverent, nights tangled in gratitude. One rainy eve, porch swing creaking, compass at our feet, Marcus turned. If we started over, you at Tommy's door, me with the towel, would you? Every time. Kiss slow, rain pattering applause. In America's tapestry, frayed edges, vibrant threads. We wove ours. Dramatic falls, emotional climbs, romantic anchors, humanistic heart. Hurt-faced, not hidden. Brothers in arms, forever north. The end? No, just the story continuing, page by loving page.